great show today. I'm very happy. We won't have to talk to Etienne. It's I told you I would take control today.
Well, you think you may not talk to him, and we'll see what happens.
Oh well,
That's
that's always an opinion. We have two of the best at National Bank on the mortgage side. I'm very happy. We won't have to come up with all the subjects today. No, don't interrupt.
We don't know if they're the best.
They're
But
the best. We got
Very
16
generous.
years and 13 years between Tanya and Frank. So welcome,
time
guys.
does not mean they're good. But we got to know them yesterday for the first time.
We're not old enough to drink yet in bank. A couple more years.
There you go.
So go ahead and make
Sure,
the
yeah.
introduction, the formal introduction.
So Tanya, if you wanted to get started, just to tell us quickly. So we just said 16 years, all at National Bank. You're currently a mortgage. What's the exact title?
Mortgage Development Manager.
There you go.
MDM.
And basically, if you could tell us a bit your path, right? How you got from that. You've been obviously in the banking during all these years. The crazy stories, how you got there, how you wanted to get there, and the floor is yours.
All right, so it's not that exciting of a story.
I was just gonna say.
Let's push the mic a bit.
Do we really want to know all of
Oh, really good, Gabriel. So it's been 16 years. I started part-time during my studies. So on cash at the front desk, and then graduated from fashion marketing school, and then realized that the bank spoke to me more. So I've done pretty much every position available within the bank, from financial advisor, customer service manager, then moved over to the financing world. Last year specifically was residential financing specialist, which is more internal loans, so refinancing, renovations, etc. And then recently changed regions back to the West Island, where my heart is, for purchase transactions with or without agents, but mainly with agents.
Well,
banners.
that was exciting. No, it's quite a parcours.
It is.
So I'm very loyal
Okay.
to
Yeah.
my employer,
Mhm.
exactly, and
To your clients too, right?
of course,
Of course.
yeah,
That's what
of
I was
course,
saying.
You have to.
yeah.
Amazing, Frank. What about you? I know there's a bit of a different background on your side. I don't think it was fashion.
No.
But,
Do you
tell
guys
us
really
about
want to
it.
hear about what I did before the exciting world of banking?
Oh, well, sure.
You know what though? This is what I think sometimes makes people in our field good at what they do, is the diversity of the background, right? When you've tried a lot of different things, it gives you a broader perspective, right? Funnily enough, because I don't look like that, right? I worked in private security before I ended up in a bank. And then, you realize that has a certain point where it's not a viable thing. We all get older. The young guns come in, and it's like, okay, I got to do something else. So I ended up at National Bank, starting off at the MasterCard department, customer service. And it was kind of a baptême par le feu, they say in French. It just kind of opened my eyes to the financing world and how banking works and how money works, because it's quite a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
Very quickly ended up in the top of the bank for sales and all that kind of stuff. But I was at the head office, right? And it's such a small, kind of isolated world. You don't really see what's going on the front lines. And I was making decisions that impacted the front lines without really knowing the reality. So I decided to do the switch to financial advisor. Did financial advisor, small business advisor, investment specialist. And through all that, seeing what the reality was for most people who were doing, mortgage transactions, doing that through my position, realized that there was something lacking in the way people were handled through the transaction. I call it the toaster service, where it was.
Well, wait a second. Can I interrupt you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just so everybody knows what's going on right now. For those that are not professional salespeople, he's giving us the pitch right now. It's
I
important.
wouldn't say it's a pitch. It's context.
No, but you can
Context.
learn from what's happening right now if we pause
Yeah.
and we reflect, and then we let you continue.
Of course,
Etienne loves the pause now.
No, but it's all about
You learn about the
education. It's all
pause.
about sharing. It's all about sharing with.
But I get what you're
A lot
saying.
of-
Obviously, this reflects good on me, so I'll take
Nobody
it.
came out like all smooth. You're good, is what I'm trying. I'm giving you a compliment.
I'll take it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So with that,
And
let's
action.
continue.
Back
Go
to
ahead.
the toaster, right? So anyways, I realized that there was something lacking. Buying a property, refinancing a property, buying an investment property is a substantial transaction in somebody's life. It's something that's going to follow them for a long time. And financial literacy wasn't there.
Yeah.
So it was what convinced me to do the switch to just focus on financing. And I've been there for 5 years now doing that.
Exciting stuff, my man. On a Friday afternoon.
Well, we can reschedule. We'll come back on Monday. Really start the week off.
No, but I think it's interesting how you got here, because how did we connect is the question. You didn't call us and say, we want to go on your podcast, and how did it all come together? Because that's an interesting,
I saw three handsome devils at a function. I said, I got to talk to these guys.
So last night we were invited by National Bank, by someone else. Thank you.
We weren't allowed to invite you. It was brokers only. Otherwise, of course, we would have.
We're all licensed. We're all brokers.
You got to do your research. You
gotta. I'm fully aware of your practical.
And then we met. You said we met a year ago. 2 years ago. 6 months ago.
Here, yeah, when I was introduced to your new brokers. Briefly, it was during COVID. You scolded me for taking your hand, actually.
Wow, I don't.
Responsible behavior.
I remember that.
So yesterday we're at this nice event that we got invited to by someone else, like I said, and you were ignoring us specifically for a while. No, I know. And then
she wanted you to desire her. It's normal.
It's all part of the pitch. It's all part of the pitch.
Then you came and you said, "Nice to see you again."
Yes, exactly.
And it got awkward because I didn't remember you.
Very polite of you, by the way.
Well, I was being transparent and honest. That's who I am. And I said, well, I don't recall us meeting, but nice to meet you. And then we started chatting, and you were a very interesting person. Yeah. So we thought. And then so the evening went along, and then we were introduced, or I actually forget how we got
I came to bug her to make her life a little difficult. Correct. And you guys happened to be there. And
and this guy was standing out because he's like 8-9 feet tall, and
in the army, so
with my Halloween costume on.
So
I finally felt small for the first time.
No, but so
I don't know about that.
But we started chatting, and it got very interesting, and your personalities are great. And long story short, we ended up inviting you to the show, and you said yes, and that's great, and leads me to want to talk about networking and how do you network, because that's, to me, a skill that's not for everybody. I think it's misunderstood. The event yesterday, I saw a lot of people go. I don't remember the count. Do you guys know? But it was at least, what, 50? Maybe more?
I think we were 144.
Probably more.
144?
I think we were 144.
No, it's pretty packed.
144?
Yeah.
It's funny how in a large room, a lot of people can seem like less, right?
Yeah, I really didn't think
it. Counting heads, it's obviously towards the 2 hours in, it started tapering off, but at a certain point, we had a good count. Yeah.
But that's even better. So 144-ish. What I noticed was a lot of people not networking. They're at a networking event, but they're on the side. They're having their drinks, and they're staying as a. It's good. They're staying in their pocket. They're staying in their comfort zone, which defeats the whole point of the event.
Absolutely.
So I have a question for everybody. Who wants to go first? Gabriel.
Okay, so there we go.
I see it.
You go.
How many people, how many contacts did you make? Now, don't lie. Please be honest. This is educational. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. It's not we're not trying to.
How many contacts are you saying? How many contacts did I get in phone numbers, or how many people?
Well, you don't get contacts. Do you get contacts? You meet, you build,
you get the contact information.
Yes. Right. How many people were you able to exchange a meaningful conversation? Because if it's just giving a card, like what's the point? Like I'm gonna take the card and I won't remember the person.
I was gonna say the same thing. How many contacts versus how many meaningful contacts?
So maybe that's a better question. There you go. So what would you say? I would say excluding our guests. For sure.
So contacts, I'd say probably around 10 to 12, but probably at max half ended up being meaningful. So probably 5 or 6.
Could you have done better?
Of course.
Were there times where you were?
It's intervention.
No, it's not. It's
the banner's gonna unroll. Right?
We're all here today.
No, but could you have extracted more out of the event yesterday?
I think you always can.
Oh my God,
I mean, he's absolutely right.
Right answer.
Are you 100%. Okay? You got where you are now. The success that you have in your field, was it by saying this is enough?
Never.
No.
Same thing.
That's right. But I think that But I think your answer is a generic, foolproof kind
I
of an
think you're a
answer.
generic person.
Shots fired.
So what about you guys? Well, how many?
No, but I want to correct the generic comment.
Go ahead.
Because there's not
You-
70 different ways to
Not-
succeed in life, right? If you look at guys like, I'm going to take Army guys because it comes from my background. You guys, Joko Willing,
Yes.
right? I start my day by listening to a Joko Willing podcast every day.
I like
It sets
David
fire
Goggins.
under David Goggins. Same thing, right?
Love the guy.
It's the same thing. It's get up early, go to bed late, work your ass off in between, right? And that's the one key to success. You look at uber successful people, they all do the same thing. There's a discipline and a consistency. So generic, yes, because that's the recipe.
But I want to ask you a question because this I hear all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't hear it all the time, but it's yes, getting up early, going to bed late. But what's in between, and how much are you extracting in between?
That's
The
where you're
efficiency of the between. So the event yesterday, to my point,
Yeah.
was supposed to be from what was it, 7 to 9 ish?
Yeah. So
The
let's call it
invitation-
7 to 9. Yeah.
And during that 2-hour window, you said you met 10, 12 out of 144. That's not a great ratio. What if you were? Why are you laughing?
Because-
It's normal.
Because I was
It's
thinking-
normal.
you
Don't
asked the
worry.
question to him, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, but I'm going to get ready my number because I want to. I'm like, fuck, man, 10. That doesn't feel that high. But then comes back to
To the quality.
quality. Do I want to be, the little butterfly going from person to person to person? Everybody says, I met that guy. Not too sure who he is. He
But
can't
what
say
you,
hi.
what were you focused on the objective of building meaningful relationships between 7 and 9 o'clock without fail and nonstop and without focusing on the just the drinking and the partying?
Do you want my
aspect
honest
of things?
answer to that?
Well, I'm asking it as a reflective kind of a question that we should ask ourselves.
My honest perspective on that, and I think he's ready for a rebuttal as well. I think if you come in with that goal, it kind of creates a pressure and maybe takes some of the natural,
correct.
connection away. So
Did you feel that I was insincere or not natural in my way of interacting
I
with
wouldn't
it?
be here if I did.
There you go. So,
So, I think it's more a question of you
but
come
I,
in
but
and
the
be
only
yourself.
the only reason why I was going was for that purpose. Zero pleasure,
Oh, really?
zero.
Oh, because I was gonna say I think the fun aspect has to do with it too. When you're in a good mood and you're.
I know, but I'm in a good mood because I
know.
know I'm producing.
Yeah.
I'm extracting
But
full
zero
juice out of.
fun.
No,
Not
what I mean is
enjoyable at all.
my going there was not for fun. My going there was to squeeze every little tiny ounce out of that orange, and then I'm gonna be happy about I attained my objective. Because I would have preferred to be with my wife and kids,
Of course.
honestly,
Yeah,
especially
hours.
yesterday because of the whole week. The Monday I was at the hockey game. Tuesday I had another event, Relapage thing. Wednesday I had another 5 cassette that we were throwing, and then that was so.
Yeah.
So I just think we need to reflect on that. What I just said. Let's pause for a second.
Okay.
Everybody, pause.
Moment of silence.
Nobody moves.
What about you?
So in our defense, I think that-
Defense. There's no.
You see how people feel when you talk?
It's not an act.
No,
It's
because the numbers will be very different compared to Gabriel. Because Gabriel comes in as an outsider.
Mhm.
Frank and I are colleagues. So, and we get along really well. So if he brought a broker, of course, he introduced me to his well-established brokers, but he's already developing business with them. So I didn't, maybe it was wrong of me, but I didn't look at every
Probably.
single person there at the end of the day as a potential client or business partner, right?
And
So-
in defense of what she's saying, we're going to use that word. It's word of the day, right? Defensive.
I didn't
The
think I was
reality-
attacking.
No,
it,
there's
but-
no attack. I'm just bugging her. One of the values, one of the things I like, and it's going to sound super corporate. I'm really not a corporate guy, but it's going to sound like that. If I compare it to people I know, because I like to have networks with other banks, right? I like to know somebody at TD and at Scotia and RBC. Because if I can't get a
Mhm.
deal through, I want to know how RBC works so
Yeah.
I can tell my broker, hey, look, we're going to talk to this person. And the thing I hear invariably from, mortgage specialists and other banks is it's kind of like they give you your training and then they go. National Bank, there's a bit of hand holding and a bit of it's a little bit more rigid the way they work, where we are assigned to specific offices and there's no poaching. You don't go
Mhm.
in another MDM
Right.
and start soliciting his brokers.
Yeah.
So
That's
yes,
bad
it
business.
creates limits, but it also prevents let's call it backstabbing amongst the team, right?
Sure.
So it limits the interaction we have.
But can I ask a question?
Yeah.
That what if, let's say, you're assigned to a different office or any office, it doesn't matter which one, but I get to meet with you, and we hit it off in the sense of there's similarities in personalities or whatever.
It's always the most
You're
important thing.
here for
Yeah.
a reason, right? Because if we didn't like you, you wouldn't be here.
At the end of the
So-
day, this
but-
is different
But
because
but wait,
you
but
hit
wait.
it off with her, right?
Yeah.
She didn't go running. So
So let's say you're at a different brand. You're assigned to us.
I'm here today for a reason, right?
That's right.
Because
So-
I invited you.
Because no, yeah, you did, but because we got along, we hit it off. There was a good connection. There was a good synergy. Use a bank term. But if that had not been the case, and this is the reason why maybe on our end of things, you're not going to have the same number, because I'm not intentionally going to go to somebody else's broker and try to create that relationship.
Exactly.
If it happens organically,
But what if I'm winking at you from afar?
oh, then I'm
Oh.
coming fast. I'm gonna see those long legs just go.
So that's very interesting. Mike, do you want to add something? Because I see you there in the back.
Yeah, you're awfully quiet.
He's saying it's very powerful. He's listening.
We
and
have
he
a
feels-
few questions. I'm gonna want to ask Tanya about it. If we go back to the networking part, we have Omar, one of our own brokers, that wanted to ask you, what, in your opinion, is the best approach during a networking event? Right?
Be yourself.
Okay.
Easily. Be yourself.
But
and
what if
unblock
you're
your
what if
ears.
you're somebody
Don't
like
go in with
Etienne?
a
though?
set
It's like-
objective, because
Oh
I
my
think
God.
the pressure.
I gotta interrupt you. You said don't do it.
Etienne, we spoke about.
There's got to be an objective. There's got to be an objective. It's a business.
You can have a personal objective without having a number in mind, because setting a number in
No, I-
business
no,
it's
but
different.
I'm gonna
For-
cut you. You don't have to set a number, but you
promise.
you.
I
Ha-
know.
well, I promise a lot
You
of things.
promised.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead.
You can set yourself a personal objective. This
Uh-huh.
is very wise. Of course, you should do this. But a specific number, thanks, Gabriel.
You're
A
welcome.
specific number, it's a social event. Guys, COVID, we're not going to talk about this. People want to get out. It's really nice to see everyone. We've been cooped up for years. It was our first non
Internal. let's say.
formal bank
Yeah.
get together for just our team. So people like seeing each other, to have fun, be yourself, and then look, you guys were drawn to us, and
Or
did
the
we
other way
talk-
around.
did
We
talk
don't know,
about
but
rates? Did
I
we
saw
talk
3
about
guys with
rates?
beards. I
Did
gotta
we
join
talk-
this group.
Like specific offers of the bank? Not
no, because
really.
it's not
So the
important. This is a great
relationship-
point.
The relationship grew organically.
Yes.
And now I think that's an excellent base for business development and a partnership.
That's right. That's
Can I add something to that?
Of
beautiful.
course.
I'm gonna reflect.
No,
on
use
how I
the
wanna
pause.
do-
Use it a lot
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
very emotional. It's,
I know,
it's,
a little tears
we're-
gonna come down and get ready for this. To add to the whole idea of business development, for I think you said it was Omar that was asking the question. Yes, objectives. Yes, a goal. Important. But all that I think comes down to it's a personal connection, right? When you this business is a very personal business. If you want to have quality relationships that are going to last, I think you have to base it on that at the beginning, right? Work with people that you get along with, that are going to represent you well. Because
Yes.
you send me a client and I don't do a good job, it doesn't reflect on National Bank alone. It reflects on, hey, Etienne gave me this guy
Mm-hmm.
and he did a really bad job. So if you have that good connection and you have that trust factor when you do your business development with
Yeah.
somebody, the rest is just going to kind of set itself up after.
I agree. And what I'm trying to make a point, or I'm trying to get everybody to realize, is that if you don't meet enough people, enough volume, I wouldn't have met you guys.
Yep.
And I wouldn't have felt there's a better, bigger, sorry for everybody else that was at the event, but we hit it off,
Yeah.
kinda, for now.
That's
And-
not what you said last night.
Right. And so if I would have just stayed with one or two
Yeah.
comfort, they're assigned to me, or whoever invited me, I'm staying with that person, we wouldn't have had the
Absolutely.
conversation we
You
had.
have to go out to find the people.
That's right. So can we talk about, maybe not, but you tell me, but can we talk about what transpired after the main event, or we don't want to necessarily?
I
We don't have to.
I
just,
got home at
we
4 a.m.
bonded
That's what
with each
happened.
other.
no, but because someone said, and I believe it was you. Gabriel. I think it was you. I'm not sure, but we when the majority of the guests had left, we stayed. I don't know what words to use to not. Anyways, you said there was a group of people.
There was a lounge that was open to us, and we had
Yes.
cigars, and we chatted.
And so you were saying, and this I found interesting, and I used it today with someone. You said, how funny it is that a few hours ago when we first
Didn't know each other.
introduced each other, we were all professional, well, much more professional than how it ended 3, 4, 5 hours later when we got more comfortable and the conversation went in a completely different direction. I think that's the whole point of networking. Why are you laughing? What's so funny? Am I not making a point here that's
true.
interesting? And that
It comes back to, I
This
think,
is
what
the
Tanya
most-
was saying, right? Which is you got to be yourself. You got to be able to be comfortable and be yourself. But sometimes it does take a few hours, and then this chemistry, synergy, has to come in place for the real talk to happen.
and
The
that
beauty is that everything doesn't always go according to plan. When you plan things too much, it's not natural.
You guys are gonna say what he said, right? 'Cause
yeah, well,
Go
I
ahead
wasn't
with
really
your deep,
listening. I
powerful
was-
voice. Go ahead.
So basically, he's telling us you have to be careful, because if you plan too much, right, things don't go according to plan. And absolutely, but I think more importantly, you do plan, set everything the way you want to. These are your objectives, these are your goals, this is how I'm going to attain it. But then have that realization of saying, I have to be able to adapt and roll with the punches,
To be able to change it.
because the best laid plans survive first contact. If you're not able to deal with that, then you're not going to be able to survive in this business.
I love it. So on this, lady, gentlemen,
Wait.
Oh.
Phone's ringing.
phones.
We got a
got
client.
everything.
How can we reach you if we need more information
That's
on?
exactly what I was going to say, but thanks for
I'm
stealing
sorry.
my punch.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's okay. Where can we find you guys if anybody wants to
You
contact
can
you?
find us at the National Bank. And
That's
we
very
leave
vague, Tanya.
Are
they gonna show
It's
up
a
at
big
which
bank,
branch?
Tanya.
We're just gonna go
I walked in a
national.
branch in Chibougamau, they weren't there. I'm really disappointed. Well, first off, stupidly enough, you Google Tanya Giuffrida, François Lalonde, National Bank. Boom, first link that'll pop up will be the National Bank link with email, phone number.
Mobile.
And we're gonna write down below your names and contact information
Yeah.
and we're on every platform. So
Of course.
if you see this,
Me personally, I guess just caters to today's reality. Easiest way to reach me is a text message, because we're all really busy. Can't always answer the phone. Somebody calls me right now, I can't answer.
we'll put your phone number on. You're okay with that?
Absolutely.
Great.
Text message, hey, I'd like to talk to you. I'll answer you, say, hey, I'm in a meeting, but I get to call you back within this time frame. Is that okay with you? Get to coordinate, and you set a timing, and we have a phone conversation.
Same for you, Tanya.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you so much both for coming.
Thanks for
and
having us,
Yeah.
guys.
we'll do this again soon.
He was really scary about really, taking us to
See,
the
it was
cleaners, but
okay.
it was good.
You were
Right.
very well.
I'm ready for next
See?
Friday. We're doing this
I'm
again next
proud of
Friday.
you.
guys?
Sure, 100%.
We're coming
do it.
back,
Let's
whether
do it.
invited or not.
Well,
Let's do
we're
it.
gonna be
Write that
going
down.
to our French version in a few minutes.
Oh,
So for those that want to stick around, we'll talk about some other stuff.
And thank you all for listening. See you soon.